Hello everyone, I am so happy to see you. According to YouTube analytics, over 70% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you guys want Pugsley to eat this month, I suggest you do so. Enjoy the video guys, I'll love you guys forever and always. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Season 13 Gnar Guide. This guide will go over everything that's essential to Gnar, like builds, runes, abilities, combos, etc. We'll just be doing a quick rundown of everything because I've done this guide many times before. It isn't really much different, but I'll do it again since there's a new season and little changes. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So first we have the items. There have been some item changes in Season 13, so let's get straight into it. Starting items are the same. I would go D-Blade if you can push in the matchup and do not get poked much, and then I would go D-Shield if you do get poked in the matchup. I still think Trinity Force is the best mythic item on Gnar, and Black Cleaver is very well paired with it. Even if the enemy team does not build armor, it's still a pretty decent item to go if you do not have another item to go. I also think boots are essential. It allows you to kite easier in mini Gnar, and coal is a very great first back, especially when you don't have enough gold for some of your items. And then lastly, I think control wards are obviously essential. Okay, let's go to armor. Obviously play it still caps if the enemy team is mostly AD. Randuin's Omen got a pretty good buff in the preseason, so I still feel the same about it. I think it's a very great item to go against crit dealers. Desmond play is pretty essential now on Gnar, especially with a lot of the champions in the game now. There's a lot of dashes, mobility, movement speed in the game now, so this is a great option for those champions. Thornmail, of course, for healing reduction. It isn't as good as before, but still essential whenever you need healing reduction. And Death Dance is a pretty good item whenever you're snowballing. Magic Resist. Mercury tries obviously if the team has CC or is just favorably MR. I think Wits End is the best MR item on Gnar. The attack speed, attack damage, and MR are just too good, and the magic damage on hit and the movement speed. So anytime you need an MR item and you're even or ahead, this is probably your option that you should go. I think Force of Nature is excellent tank item to go, and I recommend building Spirit Visage whenever there's Ocean Soul or if you have Enchanters on your team. And then Abyssal Mask is very situational, but if you have AP carries on your team, you can build this, and also if you need MR. So now let's go to situational items, or /6 item. First we have Divine. Divine got nerfed, but it's still good against tanks, so if you're going against tanks on the enemy team, I still recommend picking this item up. Heartsteel is very controversial, but I love the item, so I included it. I like to go Heartsteel whenever the enemy team messes up their draft, kind of. It feels like a pretty easy win whenever they mess up their draft. So I definitely recommend going the item, like for example, if the enemy team drafts all AD or all AP, if you build Heartsteel, you just feel unstoppable. I've made many videos on it. I'll get more into this later. Iceborne Gauntlet is kind of the same as Heartsteel. If the full enemy team is all AD and you're even or behind, this is a great item to go. Sunfire is a great item combined with Heartsteel, but I still recommend the other armor options usually. Sterak's Gauge is a pretty excellent item as well. I like this with all builds, so if you just need an item and you need to avoid burst, I would say picking up this item is pretty good. Same as Stoneplate, but I think Sterak's does Stoneplate's job better, but if you need both MR and armor, this is an okay item to go. Hourglass is sometimes hard to go because obviously it has ability power, but the main reason why you would buy it is for the stasis. So if you need an armor item and you it's late game and the stasis will be better than Guardian Angel, then I recommend picking this up, but I recommend picking up Guardian Angel most of the time. This is definitely probably one of Gnar's best late game items. Warmog's armor is great combined with Heartsteel. It's pretty rare you go this item though. I would go this item whenever you think fights are extended. Maw is also hard to go. The cost of it is too much and the stats are okay, but I believe there are better MR options. But if the enemy team is AP and you need to avoid burst, this is good, but I still recommend Sterak's over it. Silvermere is pretty situational. It's basically whenever you need to escape CC. Anathemas is great for putting this on carries whenever there's a carry on the enemy team. It's a pretty great item and it gives health, so it isn't the worst item on Gnar. I think Swifties is situational in matchups. I think Nasus or Trundle Even Darius, it's good to go Swiftness Boots because then they can't really touch you. I usually build Hullbreaker whenever the enemy top laner is planning to build Hullbreaker, just so I can match the split push. And then I build Chainsword whenever I cannot build Thornmail as healing reduction. Next, we have snowball items. I do not really recommend building these items, but if you're really ahead and you want to snowball the game and try to carry, then you can try building these items, but it might still be better to build items like Wits End, Cleaver, Sterak's Gauge, etc. But if you want to try new items, then this is what I recommend. Bork is pretty good when snowballing. The passive and the stats are pretty good on Gnar. Runon's is very great as well when snowballing. It's also good to keep the tempo up with Trinity Force. You can clear waves so fast, take towers so fast, and take camp so fast. It's also great for defending if you do not have wave clear on your team, especially if your inhibitors are gone. This is a pretty item to pick up so you can defend base and you do not have wave clear on your team. I think Rage Blade and Titanic Hydra are excellent matched with Runon's Hurricane. This 3-item combo is pretty deadly when snowballing, but you have to be pretty ahead to build this in my opinion. Phantom Dancer is kind of, you can't really build it with these other items. I mean, you can, but I recommend building this alone if you want to build it. I like to combine it with Swifties and Phase Rush build. And then Mortal Reminder is just for healing reduction whenever you feel like you're so ahead and you just have enough gold for it rather than Chainsword. Okay, that's all the items that I've gone over. So we're gonna go look at some example builds now. So like I said, I like to build the Heartsteel whenever the enemy team drafts either all AD or all AP, and these are just some example builds of that. I usually like to go 2 or 3 armor items, so I just put Sunfire Thornmail here because it synergizes well with Heartsteel. And then Randuin's also a great item for Gnar. And then I just put Black Cleaver here because just one of the best standard items on Gnar. You could also go for an attack speed item here, like Wits End or Bork. And then for all AP with Heartsteel, I put Wits End and Force of Nature here, and I've also put Sterak's Gauge and Warmogs here. I think Warmogs synergizes well with Heartsteel, especially in extended fights, and then Sterak's Gauge gets tons of value with Heartsteel as well. So these are just example builds. You can build whatever you feel like is best for that game. And most of the time you're probably going Trinity Force anyway, so that's where we're going to go now. Trinity Force example build. I think in most games you'll probably be building Trinity Force into Cleaver, but there are different scenarios, so you could go like Trinity Force into tank items, you could go Trinity Force into Sterak's, into Wits End, Death Dance, etc. There's many different ways you could go with Gnar, but this is just probably the most standard way you could go. I could see you replacing Wits End and Death Dance for 2 tank items, like Force of Nature or Randuin's. So yeah, that's it for the items. I'm recording this out of practice tool because I would just want to visually show all the runes here. So basically Gnar's main runes are Fleet Footwork. This is probably the path that you'll be going most of the time. Something like this. I think Fleet is the best rune on Gnar. The movement speed and sustain that you get is just perfect. It allows you to kite more and allows you to stay in lane healthy. I think Triumph is also probably the only choice here that you should go. I think Legend Alacrity is very well combined with Gnar, especially in many Gnar, and then Tenacity Gnar, obviously if the enemy team has a lot of CC. And then I just like to go Last Stand over these two just because it's the most consistent rune to go. And then Resolve Tree is where things can get tricky, but if you're just starting out, I think second win on flinching is pretty good. But over time, if you want to, you can take things like Demolish to get more pressure on towers, or even Conditioning and Overgrowth just to have more scaling. I think attack speed and attack damage are the best runes to go, and then obviously armor or MR based on matchup. And then health if you do not know who you're going against. So that's just the basics of rune. Now going to more advanced runes. There's many viable runes on Gnar. I did a Gnar runes tier list. I'll be sure to link that below in the comments. It should be a pinned comment. So if you want more information on runes, you can go there. I'm gonna briefly just quickly go through the rest of these. I do not think Press the Attack is really that good. I only think it's good when snowballing. I think there's better options. I think Lethal Tempo is a pretty good rune on Gnar. I think when starting out though, I think runes like Fleet and Grasp are better, but over time, maybe you'll prefer this over those runes. I think Conqueror is one of the better runes on Gnar. I definitely think if you plan on one-tricking Gnar, you could like this rune, but I understand if you want to stay with Fleet. I don't think Conqueror is really that good in Mini Gnar, but in Mega Gnar, it's excellent. The only domination rune I really like is Hella Blades. I think Hella Blades is good in 2 matchups like Irelia. The attack speed is very helpful in that matchup, but Lethal can also kind of help, but The reason why Hellblades is kind of better against Irelia is you get the attack speed instantly. And Irelia can be a hard matchup, so I still understand why you would go Fleet Footwork against Irelia. So just something like this would probably be good against Irelia. This right here, probably Bone Plating. Sorcery. The main rune I like from Sorcery is Phase Rush. Phase Rush is an excellent rune against champs that have pretty much a major slow, which Gnar can't escape. Things I like to think of are Nasus W, Trundle Pillar, everything about Darius, let's be honest. So if you need the extra movement speed, this is an excellent rune to go. I would say Nimbus Cloak, Clarity, and Gathering Storm are pretty good to go. You can also go Water Walking or Scorch, or whatever you want, honestly. Transcendence also good. So yeah, something like this is pretty okay for Phase Rush. And then I love Grasp with Tank Gnar. The only problem with it though is that it did get a nerf recently from the durability patch. But I think still, something like this with like Heartsteel Gnar is really good. Or even if you have a free matchup where you don't even need fleet, you could take this. Maybe a good example is Garen. You can just get free health and free stacks from the champion. So maybe this will be more valuable to you. And then I don't really like any of the runes here. Like I said, if you want more in-depth coverage of all the runes, I did a Gnar runes tier list. So yeah, be sure to go check that out. Oh yeah, and before I go over in here, I also did an items tier list. I'll also link that down below. I want to update that later in this season, but for now it's okay. But I definitely will update it later. Anyways guys, let's get back to the rest of the guide. Okay, so now I will be moving on to abilities. I'll be trying to go over this quickly. Gnar's abilities are pretty easy to understand. So first we'll be going over the passive. Rage Gene just basically gives a lot of different stats and Mini and Mega Gnar, and obviously you gain Rage, which whenever you gain Rage you go to Mega Gnar. It's quicker whenever you're level 16. It takes a little bit longer to get Mega Gnar whenever you're at the lower levels. But basically, you're a Mega Gnar. Whenever you transform to Mega Gnar, you're in Mega Gnar for 15 seconds. And then you get all the extra stats that you see right here. So that's basically Gnar's passive. Gnar's Q is Boomerang in Mini Gnar. You just throw it and then, yeah, it hits anything in its path. That was a backwards boomerang. Usually you would just throw it forwards. If you catch the boomerang, it reduces its cooldown in half. And it also slows any target that you hit with it. Gnar's W in Mini Gnar is Hyper. It's similar to Vayne's W, but instead it does magic damage and it gives you movement speed. Also, whenever transforming out of Mega Gnar, you gain movement speed from your Hyper, so it allows you to escape easier from Mega Gnar to Mini Gnar. Next is Gnar's Mini E, which is Hop. Whenever you hop, you gain attack speed, and if you hop on like a minion or an enemy or an ally, you do double hop. It also puts a W proc on as well. So you could do an auto attack EQ to get a little combo there. It also slows the target as well. Gnar's E is pretty essential in lane. It allows you to escape ganks pretty easily, sometimes help you be aggressive and get kills. And then Gnar's R and Mini Gnar, it just basically increases the W's movement speed. So yeah, that's it for Mini Gnar. For Mega Gnar, the Q is basically the same, except that you have to go pick it up whenever you throw it. It's a boulder and it reduces its cooldown whenever you pick it up. It does more damage and slows. Next is Wallop, which is Mega Gnar's W. Basically, it just stuns anyone that you get in the target and does damage. Gnar's Mega E is Crunch. It's very similar to Hop, and you can only double bounce whenever you're transforming. It does damage on everyone you land on, and it slows by 80%. Just like that. And then Gnar's R is called Gnar with an exclamation point. It knocks back enemies basically. And if you hit them on a wall, it will stun and do more damage. It only slows them whenever you do not stun them. So those are all the abilities in Gnar. Now we can go over some combos. Combos aren't really that difficult on Gnar, they just take a little bit of practice. So what I recommend after you watch this is you go into practice tool and just practice maybe 15-20 minutes on these combos, and I can guarantee you'll get them down. If not, then you just take a little bit extra time learning them. In Mini Gnar, not really many combos, but I can show you some tricks. As you saw earlier, you can throw Gnar's Q and then walk away from it and it goes backwards. It can lead to surprise kills, usually under tower whenever they're backing. You can even stop backs with this. That's what I mainly use it for, is to stop backs. Though really, only combo and Mini Gnar is auto QE to get a W proc off. That's pretty much the only combo in Mini Gnar that you can really do. One trick that you can do on Gnar is to use your E kind of whenever you're on top of the enemy. especially if they have a gap closer. If they come on top of you and use your E like this, you can escape. It's pretty useful in lane. And yeah, those are basically the only tricks. Another trick, I guess, in Mini Gnar and also in Mega, you can use your hop to jump over walls. You can do this all over the map, so I would just practice. But basically, one of the more useful ones of this is from here, from Baron Pit. I like to use this one a ton. Okay, now Mega Gnar has more combos. They can be a little bit more difficult because there's animation cancels. Basically, animation cancel, I'll show you what it is right now. I will be doing it with my E and R. You basically just E and then R. You E and then R immediately after. It basically allows you to use your R or even your W in midair. So you use your R or W like half a second to a second later. I don't know the exact timing on it, but if you just go in the practice tool and just practice it for a little bit, I'm guaranteed you'll get it down. I'll also show other ways you can use this. It's pretty easy. So if you're on the target, you can actually do this in animation cancel. I didn't hit him there, but you can go in many different directions with it. That's a little bit more advanced. Usually you just animation cancel like this against the wall. Well, I messed it up there. Usually you just animation cancel against the wall like this. Or W, of course. So yeah, not much really explaining I can do there. But yeah, that's animation cancel. Now we'll go into actual combos. So I'll show you a pretty standard Gnar combo here. You basically just go in with E and then R, auto, W, auto, Q, auto. That's usually what I do. Obviously, if you get the animation cancel, get that. But I'll also show another one with W. You go in with W, auto, Q, auto, R, auto. Those are the basic combos. You can W, auto, and then R, auto, and then Q, auto. I just like to do the W, auto, Q, auto, and then R, so I can just have as much CC as possible. But if you want to play it more safe, you could do it the other way around. Those are the basic combos. Like I said, just go to practice tool and you'll master this pretty easily. I just want to give some other tips. So before games, or before ranked games mainly, some tips I can give on Gnar basically is to practice managing your range. Basically in Mini Gnar, your range basically goes up every time you level up. So you can see I'm highest level, but if I was level 1, my range would be a lot smaller. So just a tip I can give is just to always hold C or always press C, and then you can just always see your range. So I would get used to this whenever playing Gnar. Also get used to kiting a lot more, because you will definitely need it to win a lot of trades. So yeah, that's one of the main things that people struggle with, is managing range in any Gnar. It may not seem difficult, but it can be pretty difficult. So yeah, just always hold C. And yeah, I think that's all the basics out of the way. So now I will go over macro, but remember that every game is different. So everything that I say here will not happen every game. Macro is hard to explain on Gnar or on any champion, because obviously every game can be different, but I'll try my hardest. So usually Gnar, whenever you pick him, you're able to push out your lane early. So basically early game, we usually focus on jungle, because that's usually all that happens top early game. So what Gnar is very good at is getting the push level 1. Obviously Gnar is ranged, so that is very beneficial towards us. So basically early game, you just want to focus on jungle, especially if they're pathing towards you. The main thing you want to just watch out early game is ganks and when to help your jungler, maybe at Scuttle Crab, maybe an invade. So I'll just say that's one of the main things. Also, I'll show some early wards that are pretty good. I would say this bush is pretty good, and this bush, just whichever sides you're on, I'll just place them in these. We can place a ward over here, like here, to see the jungle more. Or this ward's fine as well. I think a good defensive ward on blue side is right here, just so you can spot enemy going to jungler's camps. And then vice versa on the other side. I think a great offensive ward is right over here in this bush, or even in the red buff bush. And this applies to the other side of the map as well. So if we're on red side, then this would be a great offensive, this would be great defensive. So yeah, that's basically early game. Now mid game is where things could get tricky, maybe around the 10 to 15 minute mark. This won't be every game, but you might go bot lane and then start just laning down there. Or you could still be top lane, and top lane at this point you have to be wary of everyone, even mid, ADC, and support. Anyone could be coming to your lane at this point, so you just gotta be careful and be just consistently looking at the map. It can be hard for newer players, but to get better, you definitely need to look at the map and have good map awareness. So over time, you'll just get it, trust me. So mid game, you're probably going to be side laning a lot. I usually go to the lane wherever my team isn't. So a good example is me being bot lane, because my mid laner will sometimes be top and then my ADC and support will be mid. So bot lane's usually where I go. And I also like to be on the opposite side of the map wherever the objective is. So let's just say we took Dragon and then Baron is up. I would like to go bot lane because I have TP and we can come in whenever a fight starts, but we could still be applying pressure bot lane. That's basically split pushing there. It's always good to have vision, of course, whenever pushing up. And then if you're behind, I would say the best thing to do is just to stay back and try to play safe for your team. So you don't want to feed and then let the enemy top laner just take towers upon towers. Split pushing is pretty simple, and it can be very difficult at the same time. But I would say just to get better at it, just continue split pushing. Not every game you're gonna do everything correctly. There's always something to learn every game. But best thing I can say is just to always be sure to be looking at the map and try to do what you think is best. Like I said, try to be on the opposite side wherever the main objective is. So like be top lane if like Dragon is coming, so you apply pressure top. If you don't have TP though, I would just say stay around the objective. If you can have a lane, perfect. If not, just try to assist your team. And yeah, you sometimes will have to be on the opposite side without TP. It's just how it is sometimes. So yeah, just try your hardest in any situation you can. And I guess one more thing I can say is that you can take jungle camps whenever you're ahead, obviously. And then yeah, like I said, every game's different with macro. So what I would recommend is watching pro Gnar replays. Just if you need like certain situations, there's like tons of matchups on YouTube. Just type it in, like Gnar, let's say you need a Kennen matchup, just type in Gnar versus Kennen high elo replay. And then you can go there and see what you should do in every like matchup or situation. That's what I would do for macro and stuff, and specific information on each game, because every game will be different at the end of the day. Okay, that is macro done. And yeah, that should be the guide. I believe we went over everything essential. If you guys have any comments for the season 13 Gnar guide, please let me know down below. If I missed anything, and just let me know down below and I'll answer it as best as I can. I wanted to make this quick because you know, obviously season 13 started and I want you guys to get into your games. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you achieve your ranks this year, reach all your goals, and just have fun playing. I hope you enjoy playing Gnar, and I'll see you in the next video. I'll love you guys forever and always. Bye bye.